This is Urdizzle back after taking a hiatus from videos. This is the Pro Tour Week 92, all 4 rounds. So this is round 1. Looks like the hot round was a 13 under. And my bag for this round is my Fuse, River, and Musket all accurate windbreak, my Wind Glide recoil, and then my Light Glide and Light Skip ballistas. And I do mix things up a little. This Pro Tour, I do not use those 6 discs for all 4 rounds. With the most recent 952 update, I've still been experimenting a little bit and trying some different things out. So hole 1, starting off on Crow's Nest, I use the recoil. I know a lot of people have shifted away from that, but I still enjoy the recoil. I think it's a great disc. It works very well for my style of play. Hole 2, this is one where I debated laying up. But with the 952, the discs go a little further, so instead of throwing my Fuse like I normally would, I decided to throw a 4-hand River, and didn't quite get it, but gave it a reasonable run. So nothing too bad about that one. Good result. Hole 3, we've got the big downhill one. With the wind of 3, I got to be careful where I put this, so I'm going to aim a little low and turn it over, and that did not quite turn over enough. I was not happy with that shot, and I got extremely lucky that it hit the rocks there, because that very easily could have gone 150 long over those rocks. And so just still be in putting range, that was extremely fortunate. So yeah, wind of 3, definitely not an easy wind to deal with on that hole. But so far, ideal start. Then we shift over to holes 4, 5, and 6 on Oak Hill. So hole 4 is hole 1. And again, I'm still getting used to the 952 update, but you get significantly more distance from your ballistas in this update. So these Oak Hill holes become quite a bit easier. So instead of having a 60 or 80 foot throw in, I had a 37 foot putt. Same thing with hole 5 here. This is one with a left right wind of 2. I'll throw the skip. And my goal is to land just over this valley right there and hopefully get a good skip. And I have noticed that the skips are a little more unpredictable in this. Sometimes it'll just die when it hits the ground. Sometimes we'll get a huge skip. You just never know. So 54 feet, nice putting range. So eagle. And then shift over the Mando hole here. With only a wind of 1, I'm feeling pretty confident that I'm going to be able to get this one. And so this is a good example of a hole where I've started to throw the recoil a little bit, because it doesn't carry quite as far as my ballistas, and when it skips over there, it doesn't have as much ground play, and I got a really good roll right there. I mean, that's an amazing roll out of that. So to get within tap-in range, that's just phenomenal. So I do like the recoil, unless there's a really, really hard right to left wind. All right, holes 7, 8, 9, we shift over to harrowing. And I'm in really good shape this first round. Again, the hot round coming into this was a 13 under. So that means you need 4 eagles, and I've got 3 of them so far. So right here, I'm trying to make this one with the Fuse, and that was just, as soon as I let go of it, I thought that was a great shot. So I like to leave it a little short of that rock, and that seems like a dangerous run, but I feel pretty confident in those. Even if I miss, I'll miss low, or I'll miss to the right, and it'll hit that backstop. Then hole 8, surprisingly, that was so close. I feel like I eagle that last hole more than I get a hole in 1 on this one. I just don't have good luck on this hole. I do notice that the Fuse does carry a little bit further in this update, but I have not played enough rounds to really get that one dialed in. So we shift over to hole 9, and this one, I'm not really too concerned about it. It's a recoil or possibly even a musket if you got it. And I just went ahead and went with the easy shot there, and I got my 4 eagles, so I got my 13 under. So after round 1, I will be tied for first place. Again, very happy with that. Nicely rated round in the 1080s. And so we'll take a quick look at the leaderboard here. So I see Brian and Kevin, a bunch of other ones with 13, and a bunch of 12 unders, which doesn't surprise me. I bet those 12 unders were able to get the Oak Hill holes and didn't get that harrowing hole that I got. All right, so we shift into hole 2. It looks like the hot round was a 12 under with a few 11s. And I decided to keep the same bag, the Fuse, River, Musket, all accurate windbreak, the recoil, and the two ballistas. But I have been experimenting with some other discs, so in rounds 3 and 4, you're going to see some subtle changes. And hole 1, so we're starting off on Crow's Nest. This is a very difficult hole, but that left to right wind of 3, I think actually favors the type of shot I like to throw. So I can throw that musket out wide, and it pushes it out that way. So I actually don't mind the left to right wind of 3. It's the right to left wind that I hate. That'll kick it way over behind those rocks like it almost did first round. So pretty easy birdie there with the accurate windbreak musket. Then we shift into hole 2, which, again, this is a recoil shot. I know a lot of people like to throw a musket. For me, the recoil is it's a great disc. It gives me ace runs a lot of times. And it dives hard enough that I never really have to worry about wind. I think with the musket, you have to kind of worry about the left or right winds or some of the headwinds. I never feel like I have to worry about that with the recoil. So that's almost a given that I'm going to get an eagle on that every time. Then, so we got a little repetition going on here. So hole 1 was the same, and hole 3 is the same. So this was actually, I believe, the first hole in the first round. And so we got the into the cave, and that's just, again, you could probably go musket if you want to leave it a little short, but the recoil is a pretty consistent disc. So far, so good. So the 1 eagle. And remember, the hot round was 12 under, so if I can get 3 eagles, or even 2, like, I wouldn't be upset with an 11 under. That wouldn't be too bad. All right, holes 4, 5, 6, we shift over to Lakeside. And this is one, I really like the river because I feel like I can run this hole. Although in the rounds I've been playing a lot of AI rounds to practice the discs. I don't really have the river dialed in, so you notice that one wasn't even really close. In the 926 update, I was pretty close almost every single time when doing river on that, at least giving it an eagle run. So birdie's fine now. That would have been a bonus eagle. And then the Mando hole here, hole 5, I'd like to give it a run here. And this is one where that just was not a good shot. I got stuck in behind this tree. And so at least I know it's going to have to go through the leaves so I can just power it through. And I'll admit that was pretty fortunate. I do like to give that one an ace run, but I definitely did not want to be pinned behind the tree there. And I think the Explorer is a better disc for that hole in particular, but I don't know if the Explorer is any better overall. So we'll see a little later on what I decide to do with that river. All right, hole 6. This is one with that added distance in this. I'm going for this every time, even though it's a wind of 3. I don't feel like I had to put as much hyzer on it, and so I feel like I left that one a little too far out to the right. As it came through here, I thought it might skip back, but I was able to kind of squeeze my way through these trees. And so what I'm going to try to do here is just move a little left, a little right, just to make sure I can get right in between those branches and not have to worry about any collisions, which is not a guarantee. And I did end up hitting the left tree, but the collision was not strong enough to knock my disc down. So pretty happy with that eagle. So right now I've got my 2 eagles. I'm 11 under. And as long as I play a solid round here, again, I don't need to have the hot round every time as long as I'm in the hunt. If I can just birdie out, I feel pretty good about that. So hole 7 is able to get the birdie. And again, that's my mindset right now is like, if I can get an eagle, great. If not, no big deal. So this is the hole. I throw the fuse, and I don't really give that one a run. So a lot of carryover holes from first round. Not necessarily holes I really care for. This one, I just play it safe. I used to throw the river or sometimes the Explorer. Way too many times I hit the top band and ended up going OB. And then we finish off with hole 9, so I'll have to give credit to anybody that got a 12 under. That's a really good score here. My guess is they got the 2 eagles and then probably the hole-in-one on, my guess is the Mando hole on Lakeside, because that's definitely not one right there you're going to be getting. And we finish it off. And so that is 11 under. And that should keep me right in the hunt. You can't, I've said this in previous videos, you can't win the tournament on the first round or second round, but you can definitely lose it. So that put me in first. And I believe once round 3 came around, I think 1 or 2 people had tied me. So I was right in the hunt there, though. I was pretty happy with that. Between rounds 2 and 3, though, I did change some things up. I had been playing AI tournaments a little bit, and so I decided to make a couple little changes. So we go into round 3, you see Yoshi up top had shot a 13 under. So I know there's some hot rounds out there. It looks like Nick shot a 13 under, a couple 12s. So I know there's a lot of good scoring holes out there. And so the discs I did change. I've got the Explorer in there instead of the River. Part of it was that Mando hole. I wanted to experiment a little bit. And for me, the core disc, I'm going to always have the fuse, the recoil, and the two ballistas. And I'll mix and match with some of the other stuff. All right, so holes 1, 2, 3, we're shifting over to harrowing here. And this is, again, another duplicate hole, one we had in round 2. And you could miss. Really, the only time I mess this one up is if I get pinned behind that tree there and don't have a putt. And this is another duplicate. So my goal ahead of time here is I'm going to throw the musket. I want it to be short of the rock. Even if it hits the rock, that's fine, but I want it to be a little short. And so that's in a good range, just above 200. And so I feel pretty comfortable with this range, even though I've got the tree in the way. I'm definitely going to run this one. And notice how the fuse turns over. And that's twice now in this Pro Tour. To me, that is huge, because that is a bonus eagle, especially with the headwind of 2. I was extremely happy with that. And then shifting over here, I feel like this should be a pretty easy eagle. Unfortunately, I did make a little bit of a mistake here, so it cut in and rolled backwards. So now I'm kind of pinned in the trees a little bit. I was a little upset by that, thinking that I'm probably going to give away this shot. And there's really no direct shot there. So I decided to try this huge turnover shot with my ballista, and I don't have a lot of confidence in this. I'm just hoping to get somewhere up there and get a shot at eagle. And so right there I clipped the tree and left myself, was it 70 or 80? Forget. So 76 feet. So from that position after my first shot, I was extremely happy to even have a shot at it. So that was most definitely a scramble eagle. And then hole 4. So remember, 13 unders are out there. I mean, now that I know Oak Hill is here, I'm hoping they hit me with a few par 4s that I can do something with. So I've got 2 eagles so far. I'd like to at least get a 12 or a 13 under. And so I put myself up top, 71. And 71 is kind of a tricky range because it's, I don't know, I'm still working on the power on those fuse throw-ins, and it's a little too far to try a putt. And this one, I know a lot of people with a wind of 3 would probably throw for the island. I have not played this hole enough in the 952 update to really try that one, especially in a Pro Tour round. So I laid it up short, and I'm going to go ahead and try the fuse throw-in. And I thought I threw a pretty good shot, but just left it a little high. So at that point, I knew I still had a good round going, but I feel like I let one slip away. But I mean, I did eagle the harrowing par 4 with the water around it, so I figured that kind of balanced things out a little bit. All right, hole 6. I was hoping for another par 4, but I got one of the easiest par 3s in the game. Just throw the Explorer up there, and I didn't want it to go too long, so I switched to a forehand. Pretty easy stuff right there. So after 6 holes, I've got 3 eagles, so I'm sitting at 12 under if I can birdie out. So shift to hole 7, and I've got the Mando hole here. And as soon as I hit that tree, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And I've messed around with wall skips and high hyzers and all that, and that was just unfortunate. And I left that shot a little high, but I was able to salvage the birdie out of it, so that was really nice. And then here it is again, this hole 8. This is one I feel with the recoil, I'm going to get this every single time. I just don't, it doesn't worry me like it used to. So that was a pretty good shot. And it did roll up the wall, and I've had some weird things happen when it does roll up the wall, but it came back down and settled pretty quickly. So there it is. So I'm 13 under, feeling pretty good. And then when I see this hole, I'm getting really excited. I think there is a legitimate shot, a wind of 1. Like, I'm going to get a 14 under here. So I throw my forehand recoil. Not really an ace run, leaves me right up there, and I'm excited. I think I've got it. So what happens here is I'm 67 feet. Now, normally I would throw this shot in. The problem is I'm not as comfortable with this update from that range. I don't really like the power, so I decided to putt it. And of course, I screw it up and I leave it short. I was extremely disappointed in that one. I mean, the 14 under was just, it was sitting there right in front of my face. But again, I had not practiced those 60 to 80 foot shots that are just out of putting range. And so I did not want to skip it off the top in round 3 when I had the lead. and have it go OB. So I'm okay with that. And so I had, going into round 4, I actually was tied with somebody and then had a one-shot lead over about 5 or 6 guys. And so round 4, I did change up my disc a little as well. I put the river back in the bag, but then I took the musket out and put in the glide skip ballista. And again, I had been doing that thinking maybe I'd get some of the Oak Hill holes. And you're actually going to find that that was probably not a smart switch, because I kind of, spoiler alert, I don't use the glide skip ballista at all this round. So, but I still have my 4 core discs here, and hole 1, I completely butchered that. I was actually trying to go for eagle on that one, and I left it way, way, way back here. So I'm tied for the lead, and I just get over that tree, and I think I screwed up hole 1. So it's not out of bounds, and now I'm sliding down the hill on my second shot, and so now I've got a headwind shot uphill, and it's stuck. That was an extremely fortunate birdie there, because I had a poor drive and a questionable upshot, so I get pretty lucky to get out of there with a birdie. Hole 2, I'm throwing my river, and this one, I thought it was, when I saw that thing skip and I just wanted it to settle, I thought there was a chance it could skip long, but it did not. But yeah, so the spoiler alert is I'd been messing around on Oak Hill with some of the AI tournaments, and I really like that glide skip, but I don't end up using it, so it's kind of a waste of a disc. Hole 3, I left this one kind of high up the hill, but I found that if you can just slam it into that hill, right there, the rock slowed it down, but usually when it slams into the hill like that, it's not going to go OB. So even though that looked like a pretty bad shot, which, don't get me wrong, it was not a good shot, but it was not as bad as it looks, as long as you can avoid those trees. So it came out of that birdie, birdie, birdie. Now right here, so I had switched the river back in. I kind of wish I would have kept the Explorer in the bag. So notice I'm kind of all over the place with my disc selection. And so that one even went a little long. I find the river just it likes to go straight, which is not what you need on that hole. But from 70 feet, that's not too bad. So I'm still kind of in a state of flux. I'm going to use my fuse, my recoil, and my 2 ballistas. But the other 2 discs, I'll be experimenting for a while here. All right, hole 5. Again, holes 4, 5, and 6 were over on Lakeside. I am not trying to ace run that. That's one, if it's a daily tournament, I might go for it with the recoil or something else. But the fact that I don't have my musket means I'm not going to run it. All right, hole 6, we've got the par 5 island hopper, and with the wind of 3, I know some people have been trying to go to that second island. I'm not. I'm pretty comfortable as long as I keep my light glide ballista in the bag. I've got a pretty good shot here. So with the wind of 3 going right to left, I don't feel like I have to put much hyzer on it. In fact, if you notice there, I turned it over a little bit, and this was probably one of the better shots of the round. Slams the pole. I mean, anytime you can get a tap-in eagle on Island Hopper, you're doing something right. Now, before the round, I saw some really low scores, like 6 unders, 5 unders, 8 unders. So I had a feeling that Owlwood was coming, and once I saw it on hole 7, I knew it was there. But starting off on hole 1, I'm pretty confident with that one, throwing the light glide ballista, just turn it over a little, easy. Now, I'm expecting one of the harder holes, like hole 5 with the rock or the bush in the middle. And so when I get this one, I'm thinking, this is a pretty good hole for me. I did see there was one 11 under out there and a couple 10 unders. So I'm thinking to myself, if I can get a 10 under, which at this point I already have, if I finish out strong, I've got it. If I can somehow get an 11 under, I've got this. I think I've got the tournament in the bag. And if you've watched any of my videos, you know how comfortable I am with the 4-hand fuse. And even with the lead, I'm going for it. And right there, as soon as I hit it, I'm stoked. And right now, I'm just hoping for an easy hole 9. And when I see this one, I pretty much at this point, I know I've got this tournament won. Unless somebody swoops in and plays all 4 rounds. So just play my fuse right down there. And here, I felt really, really, really good about that. And finished strong. So I was able to take an 11 under round 4. And again, there could be someone who plays all 4 rounds at the same time, but of the players who were on the leaderboard there, I was tied for the lead, so I'm feeling really, really confident that 48 under is going to take it down. And switching over to the final leaderboard, that 48 under did hold. Luke C shot a 10 under, so I got him by 1. Who was tied with me after the 3rd round. 46, a few 45s, 42 way down there at the bottom, filling out the rest of the leaderboard. But yeah, that was a pretty good overall tournament. I had 3 longer throw-ins that really helped me out there that kind of made the difference, and just being aggressive. So hopefully you enjoyed week 92 of the Pro Tour with Urdizzle.